Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Meg, and if you're new here, welcome. So today I am going to be making over this vintage dresser. It is really old. It has the arrow joints on the sides of the drawers, and I looked it up and did a little research, and I saw that it was a 17th century piece of furniture. Now this dresser had two little chair-like pieces on top, and I will show a picture right here. It was quite odd. I did not know what it was, and so I had to look that up. They are little jewelry boxes with a mirror in the middle. Now, I did not know what to do with them, so I have kept them aside and just restored the bottom part, which is the dresser part. I took off the hardware to begin with. Now, these were not screwed in, they were nailed in. I was not keeping them because some of them were bent and damaged. I will be putting on new hardware that I think will match and look really good on this piece. Now there are holes there that I need to fill in, and I'd already filled in the top with wood filler where the holes were. Now there were really big holes on top, and those holes are where those little chairs and the mirror went. So I used my DAP wood filler to fill in all of the holes on the drawers where the handles went and the top, as you can see here. Once all that was dried, I then sanded down the top to raw wood. Now I am going to be sanding this entire piece to raw wood. I want the original wood finish, and then I'm going to restain it all. Now I was planning on painting the trim, but I decided that I'm actually going to sand this whole piece down. Now here you can see my sanding disc is quite large, and that's because I ran out of the 80 grit sanding discs that fit this sander. I did have some large sanding discs that worked out really well for the sides of the trims and the edges here. Once I got the top sanded down to raw wood, I then sanded the sides. I then sanded the drawer fronts and sanded down the wood filler. You can see there is beautiful wood grain underneath all of that. Once I had sanded down the drawer fronts, I then used my detail sander to sand the corners of the sides where I had sanded and couldn't get to with my orbital sander. Now I did not have the triangle discs for this sander, and I actually find using the round ones work better because they hang over the edges. So once I had sanded the sides and the corners, I then sanded the front trim. As you can see here, the trim is actually pine, and pine is a light wood that is really easy to sand. And the top and the sides and the drawers were all mahogany. You can see the reddish, sort of pinkish tone to the mahogany. And same with the drawers. So when you're sanding, you can notice the sand dust is pink. Now, I was okay at the beginning with the different tones of wood, but you'll see what happens towards the end and what I end up doing. I got a cloth and just dusted off all of the sanding dust, removed all the top dust as well. So once I had done all that, I went back over the entire piece with a 320 sanding disc so that the top and the surfaces were all really smooth. I started off with the 80 grit, and now this is the 320. So it's always good to go up in your sanding so that you have a really good sanding smooth finish. Once I had done that, I used Java gel to go over the wood filler spots so that they looked more natural. This is the first time I'm doing this, and it actually worked out really well. I then used Minwax weathered oak stain to stain the entire piece. This piece has so many different wood tones and grains, it just looks so beautiful. And this was the perfect stain color to use it. I did about 2 coats of the stain and then letting them sit for a day to cure. I did stain the side trims, the pine, but it still came out quite light and lighter than the other areas, and I wasn't sure I liked it. I kept going, staining all of the trim and the rest of the piece. I did the same to the drawers by adding the Java gel on the wood filler spots and then going over it with the weathered oak stain. And I did this with all 4 drawers. Now, as I had said before, I wasn't too keen on the lighter wood on the trim, and so I used Java gel on the feet just to spruce those up, which I had previously scuff sanded. So here I am restaining the trims on the sides, and I'm using a different stain that I feel matched perfectly with the rest of the wood surfaces. I will put the name and the brand in my description, as I actually can't remember offhand what color that was that I used. But I think it worked out perfectly and looked really good. Once the stain had cured for a few days, I then added the hardware. Now, as you may have noticed, I had forgotten to seal this entire piece before putting the hardware on. I was just so excited to get this hardware on, and I know that the hardware and adding hardware is very simple, but I did this all by myself, and I was really proud of myself, and I was able to figure it out because these aren't usually the normal screws that you put in, but I did it. And so because I was so excited to get these on, that I realized afterwards, oh dear, I need to top coat this entire piece. And it took me a long time to get these handles on because I was doing it all by hand. So I left them on, and then as you can see here, I just brushed the top coat on and I went over and under the handles, and it actually worked out really well. Now I did 1 coat of this top coat and then I staged and took pictures, but I'm actually going to be adding another coat. I just wanted it to settle into the wood first, and it really did soak up, the wood did soak up the top coat, and I'm using the diamond Varathane wood finish. I'll also put that in my description. So I will be doing 2 to 3 coats of the top coat, making sure that I sand in between top coats with my 2000 grit sanding block. That way I'll have a really good smooth finish. So let's take a look at what it was before. So here it is. And as you can see, that one drawer sticking out, and I had actually forgotten to record this, but we made a new runner for the one side so that the drawer would go in much more smoothly. I feel like this turned out really, really well, and it was my first sanding down to raw wood and staining a whole piece. And this is what it looks like. I absolutely love it. It just looks so beautiful. I love that wood grain. I love the stain color, and I love the handles. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week at 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. Please see my description for my Amazon wish list, and thank you for so much for all of your support. I really do appreciate it. Thanks again, take care, and have a wonderful day.